Hey everyone, it's Miss Molly back to talk about how to add background information and pick your quote and then give commentary that proves it's a good quote that supports your theme statement. So, this is the biggest part of the paragraph, it's the body of the paragraph. And as I look at these steps that are involved, it says first I go back and I read my theme statement. And then I go and step two is to look at my annotations again to find a quote that supports it. So as I remember, my theme statement is this thing about family, home culture, family culture, and the struggle that many teenagers have when they go out into the bigger world outside of their home and find all the different cultures that they want to fit into. So that is my theme statement. Now I need to go to my annotations and I see that I have culture and family and things underlined that will help me support that. So, right here in the beginning, the second paragraph, I see that I've underlined and there's this word culture. What would he think of our noisy Chinese relatives who lacked proper American manners? I like this quote because it talks about her Chinese relatives, which is the family and home culture. But then she also highlights this proper American manners, which really to me is the perfect quote that is pointing out that struggle between the culture at home and the culture in the bigger world. So I think I'll use that quote to support my theme statement. But now my job is that I have to step three, and I have an asterisk because this is the part that's to me the most difficult part. I have to introduce the quote and explain how it fits into the plot of the story. So this is not explaining the deeper meaning of the quote. This is just explaining what's going on in the story. So, what I imagine step three is it's the assignment that you're never going to get again because you're sophisticated ninth graders. You're not going to be asked to tell me the plot of the story as your writing assignment because that's boring. But it is necessary to give a summary of the plot points so that I understand how you're making deeper meaning of the story. So the plot of the story will never be your entire assignment, but in this assignment, it is one or two sentences you have to discuss plot. So that's what I'm going to work on first. And I'm going to show you what I did. So my theme statement is in yellow. We talked about that in the last video. Here is how I describe and set up the quote. In the beginning of the story, the reader discovers that Amy has a crush on Robert, a typical American boy. He and his family are invited to celebrate Christmas with dinner at Amy's house. Amy's internal dialogue is all about her anxiety of what she imagines Robert will think when he meets her Chinese family. That's all I'm saying. The story is a page long. This is my summary of the story that is necessary to set up my quote. So that's the background information. That is step three. And then step four, it says when you type the quote, be sure to use quotation marks and the exact words that you find in the text. So this is really important. Sometimes kids forget to type exactly what's written. So I have a comma here, and then I have the quote in quotation marks. What would he think of our noisy relatives who lacked proper American manners? The question mark goes inside of the quote, and then the quotation mark ends. And then I have a period, hopefully, because that's the end of my sentence. Now, the last step is the biggest chunk of this section and the biggest chunk of your paragraph. This is called commentary, and this is where I have to prove to you that that quote makes sense. So I go on to describe, I say, she goes on to describe the menu her mother has prepared using adjectives of disgust like appalling, bulging, and slimy. So I make another reference to the story, but I don't actually pull out a quote there. And then I say, at the end of the story, Tan reveals through dialogue between Amy and her mother that the menu was full of Amy's Chinese dishes. Amy feels torn between gratitude for her mother's expression of love through food and her desire to embrace the American culture that Robert and his family symbolize. So this is where I've just referenced other parts in the story that are similar to this quote. And then I say that this is really a symbol of her being torn, right? There's that word that also means struggle between the love of her mom, which is her home culture, and this American culture that Robert and her family and his family symbolize. And then I put in the universal part, right? This is the universal struggle that is typical for many teenagers who are being exposed to new and different ways of life while still needing the security that comes with being around family. So, this last sentence is where I managed to bring it back to my theme statement and also to the fact that my theme statement is getting at a universal truth that the author wants us to learn. So I hope that helps. Look through these steps, and if you want to find out how to end your paragraph, tune into the next, much shorter video.